I'm gonna take this Armani Beauty Luminous Silk highlighter. This is in the shade 3. I'm just gonna put some pretty high up on my cheekbone. This is just because the higher you put up your highlighter, the higher up your cheekbones and your whole face in general look. Now I like to take a little bit more of our lighter concealer and just do a second layer on my eye bag, just because mine are very prevalent and I like covering them up. So I just use this to kind of re-brighten my under eyes and also blend out any creases that might have formed, which are totally normal if you haven't set your face yet. So I immediately go into setting my face. I use the Kosas Cloud Set setting powder. I've been using it pretty much every day since it came out. I'm just gonna take a little bit of this, and the key to looking like a filter is that you need to look airbrushed, and powder is the way to do that. So you want to be generous with the powder. Carve out the sides of my nose, and then I also set my under eyes. I'm basically just following exactly where I took the concealer earlier, so up to my temples. And I'll basically blend out my under eye setting powder completely. I won't really let it sit or anything, but I will let my nose setting powder sit. I'm also gonna drag a line from my ear out to my mouth. And the reason that I do this is because it helps brighten the underside of my cheek, kind of make my cheek contour more prevalent without it being too harsh. You don't want a harsh contour line on your cheek. Instead, I just kind of brighten up the sides, and it looks a lot more natural that way in my opinion. Just like this, and then from the front, you can see it's brighter down here. Then I make sure to also set the center of my chin and also around my nose. And this is a pretty known rule of thumb, especially if you are in the makeup world, but I'm gonna say it anyways in case you don't know, that you use setting powder to set wherever you put concealer. I put it right on my eyes, around my nose, and on my chin, and dragged it up in the same spots I put my concealer. But I didn't put any setting powder where I put my blush or contour earlier, because you set cream blush and cream contour with powder blush and powder contour. I feel like when you start stacking too many powders is when your makeup starts to look cakey. So only use the setting powder where you put your concealer. Now I'm gonna go in with powder bronzer and set where we put the cream earlier. And you'll notice this shade is not super dark. I'm not using a dark brown. This is a good medium brown that will look really natural on my skin tone. The reason that I don't put bronzer across my entire forehead is because I think this helps add dimension to my face. So I like keeping the center of my face all bright, including my forehead. And then I will take the excess and also put that on my eyelid. Now before we do anything else, I'm going to add on a lip stain, because if you want to look like a filter in real life, you can't go out in public and then have your lip combo completely disappear on you. That'll just ruin the whole vibe. So I like to have a little color on my lips at all time, and the only way I can ensure that is if I use a lip stain. This is the Sachi Beauty lip stain in the shade Pink. Next, I'm gonna go in with powder blush. This is the Haus Labs Pomelo Peach powder blush. I feel like the Pomelo Peach is the perfect blush color for me, for this to still look natural and like a filter. I'm not gonna go in with some super dark plum blush shade because that would just look way too harsh on my face. And I'm gonna go in with a fluffy brush to apply this. I also take a little bit of blush and I just run it across my forehead and my chin. It's because I like the colors I'm using on my face to be cohesive throughout my whole face. So I feel like it looks more natural if there's like undertones of the same blush color running through the whole face. And I'm gonna take the same brush I just put my blush on with and just kind of wipe away this powder. I don't see many people using these. I really have been loving like bronzers or highlighting blush, a product that has at least 2 of the 3 products we put here. So bronzer, blush,